I carefully broke down the football matches step by step and built two strong accumulators, selecting the most reliable options. Also, we are putting together a crazy parlay with insane odds of 105 from 4 selections, so make sure to watch till then. So let's not waste a second, let's get into the noise. First parlay, first event, Russia versus Nicaragua. And this is exactly the kind of match where I found a very clear and basically very playable pick, because the gap in class between these teams is just massive. And games like this usually reliable in advance if you break them down properly. Look, the Russian national team had a very long unbeaten run, but in autumn it finally ended. First Chile 0-2, then Peru 1-1, and at first glance you could say the team dropped off. But if you dig deeper, there were experiments, mixed lineups, and opponents of a completely different level who actually know how to press and create problems. But as soon as Russia play against teams from a lower tier, it becomes a completely different story. No romance, just pressure, speed, and a simple blowout. Just remember Cuba 8-0, Brunei 11-0, Syria 4-0, Zambia and Grenada 5-0 each. And that was not even the main lineup, that was rotation. So Karpin has a system where even the second unit comes out and destroys teams like this through line city and pure class. And that brings us to the key point, the Nicaragua national team. This is a side that is an outsider even on its own continent. And the numbers prove it. 4-12 goal difference in qualification, loses to Costa Rica, Honduras, Haiti, and in friend lines, they also keep losing against stronger teams. Peru 0-2, Uruguay 1-4, Iran 0-1. Yes, sometimes they can grab a goal, but overall this is a team that cannot handle the tempo and collapses under pressure. Buddy, subscribe to my YouTube channel. I post match analysis every day and I always try to keep my subscribers in profit. I'm also always happy to read fair criticism and your well-earned picks in the comments. I read everything. Thanks for the support, let's keep going. And this is where it matters. Russia know exactly how to suffocate teams like this, especially once they start dropping physically. And they almost always do drop physically. Russia also have a stable trend. Even if the lineup is not the main one, they do not slow down, they actually try even harder, because every player wants to impress Karpin and secure his spot. So even without the biggest stars, the team still plays aggressively and doesn't stop after 2 or 3 goals. At the same time, I'm not expecting some insane 8-0 here, because this is still not Brunei, the level is slightly higher. But 3 to 5 goals for Russia in a match like this is absolutely a realistic range. At the same time, Nicaragua scoring is not completely impossible either, because Russia have occasionally conceded recently, especially after halftime. And if they relax at some point, the visitors could take one chance. So in the end, the picture is very simple. Russia will dominate, create chances, score, and basically make it a one-way game, while Nicaragua will either completely fall apart or maybe steal one moment. That's why I'm taking over 3 goals here in the parlay. This is the base option and looks very strong. For a riskier play, I would go with Russia -3 as a single, because if they catch the right tempo, they can easily win by 4 or more. And for the crazy parlay, I'm taking Russia over 2 goals in the first half at odds of 3, because in matches like this, they often kill all suspense before the break. Guys, here's my Telegram and my stats. I work as transparently and honestly as possible. I even pay taxes as an individual entrepreneur. I am one of the few in this space who actually works openly and fairly. The link is in the description below. First parlay, second event, England versus Uruguay. And this is exactly the kind of match where at first glance everything looks obvious. Favorite, home field status, but if you are really deep into it, there is a very interesting angle you can play. I'll say it right away. I found an option here that looks very logical specifically because of the expected game script. Not just because of the big name on the fixture, because the England national team are really on the run right now, 6 wins in a row, and they came through qualification with absolutely no chance for their opponents, 22-0 on aggregate. So it looks like a machine. But if you go deeper, who exactly did they play? Serbia, who are in a crisis themselves right now, plus lower level teams. And here's the important point. This is not the kind of match where the full top starting 11 comes out and smashes the opponent. Tuchel is already making it clear there will be rotation, and that is the key factor. So not all the main stars will start, and while the backup players are still strong, this is no longer the same chemistry or the same cohesion. And that changes the whole picture, because on the other side, is the Uruguay national team. A team that is not about entertainment at all, but about discipline and structure. Under Bielsa, they have a very pragmatic model right now, and the numbers prove it. Only 12 goals conceded in 18 qualification matches. That is a very serious defensive record. Yes, there were weird friendlies like 1-5 against the USA, but that was with the reserve team. And games like that tells you nothing. If you look at the main core of this side, it is a very nasty team that sits deep, suffers and waits for its moments. And what matters here is that Uruguay will not play open football. So we are almost guaranteed to get a tight, physical, sticky match where England have more possession, but without crazy attacking sharpness. England also have another trait. They themselves like to control the tempo and throw games, especially when there is no need to go up. 11 of their last 12 matches were exactly the kind of dry scenario, and that is not random, that is their style. And when two teams meet that both do not charge forward recklessly, you usually get an under. Uruguay away from home create very little, meaning this is a team that can spend the whole match waiting for one chance. England, even with rotation, will most likely still get what they need, but not through some blow-up. So the picture is very clear to me. England will control the game, Uruguay will sit and suffer. And the match will go into a cautious, close script without unnecessary risk. That is why my choice here is 1x plus under 3.5 in parlay, because even if England somehow do not win, this is still very unlikely to run into a shootout. As a single, I would go with England over 1.5, because their class should still produce 1 or 2 goals. And for the crazy parlay, I'm taking England win plus under 3.5 at odds of 2. One more event I broke down just as a single, but you can also add it into the parlay. Spain versus Serbia. And this is exactly the kind of match where the fixture says friendly, anything can happen. But if you break it down properly, the picture becomes very clear. And I'll say it right away. There is a strong logic here for a confident option. Because the Spain national team right now are truly one of the most systematic and stable national teams in the world. Yes, they do have an issue in central defense against top opponents, where they can concede. But that matters specifically against top-level teams. Against sides below that level, Spain turned into a steamroller. And the numbers confirm it. Georgia 4-0, Bulgaria 4-0, Turkey 6-0. They suffocate teams with possession, create a huge number of chances, and simply don't let the opponents breathe. Now look at the Serbia national team. On paper, the names look decent. But this is the classic story where the squad exists, but the team itself doesn't. And this has been going on for years. They changed the coach and brought in Paunovic. But from the first matches, nothing really changed. 0-2 against England without chances, and then a very labored win over Latvia. So the same problems are still there. Organization, discipline, and especially performances against top opponents. And this is the key point. Serbia away from home against elite teams usually offer very little. They might sit deep at home and grab a 0-0, but away from home, it is a totally different story. And Spain at home are completely different level. They haven't lost there for more than 2 years, and most importantly, they don't just win, they often win comfortably. There is another thing I like here. Spain can clear high lines by themselves even without an open game. They do not need chaos to score 3 or 4 goals. They can do it through positional pressure alone. And Serbia, in that kind of game, will either collapse or spend the whole match just defending. And if I'm being honest, I almost don't believe in a Serbian goal here. Spain play carefully against teams of this level and rarely allow anything meaningful. So the picture for me looks like this. Spain dominate possession, apply pressure, slowly break the defense open and create the difference through class. Not through a crazy shootout, but through a clear edge in chances and score. That is why I'm taking Spain over 2 goals in the parlay. For a riskier play, I would go over 3 total goals, because if Serbia fell apart, the score can easily turn into 3-0 or 4-0. And for the crazy parlay, I am taking Spain over 3 goals at odds 2.7. I hope you appreciated my detailed analysis and left a like on the video.